Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where I'm well on my way to generating 365 episodes of a new sub-series that I'm working on entitled All That I've Learned from Tony Robbins Over the Years. For those who have been following me for a while, you'll know what makes me tick. I get up virtually every morning and I deliver at least one vlog a day. There were days during COVID when I did up to 10 vlogs a day, because originally what I did was I set myself a target of doing 1,000 vlogs in 3 years, and then during COVID, because we had so much time, because there was so much uncertainty, I decided to up the ante and give myself a challenge of delivering 1,000 vlogs in just 1 year. And as I went throughout the year there, I was doing 1 or 2 vlogs a day, sometimes 3, and then with about 2 or 3 months to go, I did a calculation and asked myself, what sort of workload do I need to embrace in order to hit my goal? And then I realized that I needed to do a lot more work because the days were numbered, and I pulled my finger out, I guess, is the bottom line. So it's important to check in from time to time to see how you're going with your goals, and to track your performance, your time, and to reinvigorate your desires by using numbers, because numbers don't lie. Numbers give us a sense of where we're up to, where we're at. And it's only when you have reality strike, it's only when you compare and contrast, benchmark and baseline yourself to your reality, to your truth, that you generate the energy that's required in order to do the extraordinary. I've delivered now over 1,600 vlogs, and my YouTube channel, Jim's 5am Club, is one of the biggest in the world in terms of volume of content and variety, may I add. And I know what it's taken to get me to this point, and it's not easy. Not easy to get up every morning, not easy to just start talking and sound like an authority on topics that you really don't have any idea about. But because I've done the homework, because I've got a few pointers, and because I'm using and leveraging OPE, it's much, much easier. Because one of the beauties that Tony Robbins talks about is the importance of leveraging OPM and OPE. And unless you learn how to leverage OPM and OPE, then you're not going to get the step function. You're not going to get the growth that you need in order to get to where you want to be and to really grow and expand at a rate of knots. At the end of the day, we've all got a lifetime, but nobody knows how long their lifetime is. For most people, on average, it's about 70, which is 70 years. Somebody live to 100, some more. Some live, into their 50s. Some even go earlier than that. So a lifetime is something which is unique and precious, and shouldn't be taken for granted, I guess, is the key point that I want to make. So OPE, other people's experience, OPM is other people's money. We need those things in order to leverage ourselves to get massive results. Because one of the big war cries that Anthony Robbins has is massive action equals massive results. We need to be fully committed. We need to be all in, all on board in order to be able to do what we need to do to get the massive outcomes. And whilst incremental growth is important and works through the power of compounding, sometimes in our lives we need to make step function changes. And it usually happens when you're in your 30s and 40s. That's the age of your life. They're the years in which you can make those step functions, because you do still have your parents, usually, hopefully, you still have your parents around you. You still have most of your family around you. You've got your health on average, and you're able to use all of those resources that are available to you to get the outcomes, or to potentially invest in getting the outcomes that are possible. Some people go too hard too early, others go too hard too late. But like the three bears, you've got to pick your run, you've got to pick your timing so that you're getting the best outcome, the best return on your investment. And when it comes to investment, Anthony Robbins reminds us that we do need to invest in ourselves. We do need to spend some time honing our skills and generating an inventory of patterns, of knowledge, of wisdom, a peer network, a group of people who are going to teach us, who are going to push us, bend us, stretch us, cajole us, and get us sweating, I guess, our assets, so we don't waste our time, we don't spend our time taking it easy and cruising in life, but to be able to run fast or slow, fast enough or slow enough to do what we have to do to make the most of those opportunities that life will present us. I've got a friend of mine who always reminds us that the opportunity of a lifetime comes once or twice a day, but you need to have your eyes open. You need to have your energy flows available so you can make the most of that opportunity. It's no good running hard tomorrow when you should have been running hard today. There's no use trying your guts out when the opportunity is not there. And as a famous footballer once said, I remember watching a football program one day, and Peter Sterling was one of the commentators, and he said something really profound, or it was profound to me because I was hearing it for the first time. And he said that in a game, in a rugby league game, in a final, whatever you do in life, within that game time, multiple opportunities will present themselves throughout that game time. So it's not as if you take the field and it's one-sided. Whenever you see a competitive match, both teams have opportunities to attack and defend, and the game seesaws from the beginning to the end, but it's the team who makes the most of the opportunity that presents itself, that really apply themselves to when they need to apply themselves most, are the ones who usually have the most success. So what we need in our lives is a commitment to excellence, a commitment to the task, and to be able to switch on, to explode, to be present at the time when we're needed to be present most. And this is one of those key learnings, and that's one of the things that Peter Sterling said, was that the great players are the ones who are able to read the game, who are able to follow the flow of the game, and are able to take massive action at a point in the game where that massive action is able to translate into massive results. I was fortunate enough this year to go to the NRL Grand Final, where the Penrith Panthers were taking on the Brisbane Broncos. And it got to a point with about 20 minutes to go where it was obvious that Brisbane were just going to get away with the game, and it was going to be a thrashing. And then all of a sudden, in the last 15 minutes, one player stood up and stood out. Nathan Cleary played the game of his life, where he just took over instead of relying on his other players who were tired, who were injured, who were battered to a pulp. Decided to take the game by the scruff of the neck and to do what very, very few players can do. I've mentioned before that Tony Robbins always talks about one of the American gridiron players whose testosterone, they measure their testosterone and then measure all the things that make them click. And he said that this particular player had the ability to call on some massive stores of testosterone at a time where most players had depleted their stores of testosterone. So it's either something which is a freak of nature or something that he's able to call upon based on his belief systems. But it was just interesting to learn and interesting to hear about that certain players have X factors, either physical X factors or other X factors that enable them to become great because of these abilities to call on this extra ability. So the other thing that Tony Robbins talks about is what we practice in private, we get rewarded for in public. And the key message that he shares with his audience is that if somebody else can do it, surely you can do it as well. I know that in my life, and here is an example, my Jim's 5am club. I'm no public speaker, and I've never have been in my life. But I'm doing something that I enjoy. I'm doing something that I've always enjoyed doing, and that is learning. And I also like to help people. So I remember in the old days when I was young, green, a young executive, I'd admire people who could stand there and talk without notes about topics that were interesting, were complex, but were fun. And I'd been to the Jim Rohn seminar when he came to Australia, to Steve Covey when he was here in Australia. I remember going over there to the Opera House to see him talk. I listened to a number of tapes. I used to go once a month to a meeting of the National Speakers Association, where people who were public speakers would congregate on a monthly basis and have guest speakers there, and you could go there for free. I think it cost $15 or something, but you also got a meal and a drink. And you could sit there and just listen to these people who were leaders in their field talk about various topics, and I absolutely loved it, I remember. And one day, at the beginning of COVID, I was driving into the city, going to work down at Everleigh there on a Mervac job. It was a Saturday morning, I remember it distinctly, just before my birthday. And I said to myself, in order to pass my time, given that there was a lockdown and I wanted to try and do something that was productive, I said to myself, what can I do to be most productive? And I thought about just putting my phone on the dashboard of the car and just talking about some of my learnings, some of my past experiences, some of the wisdom that I was able to accumulate over years of reading books, going to seminars, and basically learning through trial and error. And I remember the first thing I talked about was the art of selling, because my wife and I had mobile phone businesses. Actually, my wife had the business and I would support her as best I could. And I learned how to sell mobile phones, and I just talked about the experiences. And then I talked about a few books that I'd read and some messages and some key learnings, some key takeaways that had stayed with me over the years. And then it just grew from there. I did another one and another one. And then I started posting them to social media. I wasn't getting very many likes. I wasn't getting any followers. Didn't bother me, at the end of the day, because I wasn't doing it for likes and following. I was doing it for my own personal gratification, my own personal development. And it just grew from there. So I think the first 300 I did by just talking about stuff that came from my memory. Now, without any notes, without any editing, without any purpose. And then I started to run out of material. And then I started to then look for other material, where I was able to find book summaries, and I was able to read the book summaries and then get a few talking points from those book summaries and talk about that sort of stuff. And what I realised is the more you do, the better you get at it, or the more you enjoy it. And that's one of the key learnings in life as well, that just keep on doing the things you're doing. Because as my manager at IBM, Greg Gleason, told me, he said that it's only when you scratch the surface and get below the surface that everything, absolutely everything, becomes interesting. Gardening can become extremely interesting. Car racing can become interesting. Horse racing can become interesting. Martial arts can become interesting. Investing in shares can become interesting. Everything, every hobby in the world can become extremely interesting, as long as you immerse yourself in it and you learn as much as you can, because the more you learn, the more interesting it becomes. And Tony Robbins talks about this concept of smart frugal versus dumb frugal, smart generous versus dumb generous. And what he says is that there is a smart way of doing things and a dumb way of doing things. And when it comes to smart frugal versus stupid frugal, He said that the only way you can get explosive and massive growth in your life, the only way you can get a step function transformation in your life, is by spending money and getting access to the best coach or coaches that you can get, because what they can do is they can give you time. You can go through life trying to do things with trial and error, but trial and error is a waste of time, is a waste of your time, because time is the only thing that we have available to us. And you can try and reinvent the wheel, or you can just take the wheel that has been invented by somebody else and try and improve that wheel. We don't have time. This is a key message. You don't have time in one lifetime to learn all the things you have to do through trial and error. The best thing to do, according to the big man, Tony Robbins, is to invest in OPE, other people's experiences, where you can take a lifetime of their learning and compress it into a few distilled points that you can take and incorporate into your inventory of knowledge and patterns and use it in your life. Because there's only about a half dozen things, there's only about a half dozen elements that set people apart. And you don't have to be the best of the best, but you just need to be above average in each of those elements in order to be the expert and a leader in your field. The solutions to most of the problems that we have are already there. There is nothing unique, there is nothing new in the world. We've said time and time again, and I'll repeat it time and time again, because it is a profound breakthrough point. There's nothing new in the world. It's just new to us. It's just new to me. It's just new to you, because we've only just discovered it. But it's not new to many other people. Many other people have written books. There are thousands and thousands of books that have been written. I myself, on my YouTube channel, have over 1,600 vlogs, over 1,000 books that have been talked about. Books from authors who are leaders in their field, who have spent a lifetime becoming experts in these particular variable and various topics. And what I'm trying to say is that you can take that, you can have access to that deep thinking, that profound knowledge, by just picking up a book, listening to a vlog, having a chat to somebody, going to a lecture, because what you're getting is you're getting the gift of time, you're getting the gift of learning what works and what doesn't work. You get the gift of their deep thinking, because in order to write a book, in order to deliver a vlog, in order to put together a documentary, a lot of research is put together, a lot of analysis and reflection goes into it, and all of this reflection is captured and made available to you and me and everybody else to be able to use it to live somebody else's life without having to go through the pain, the suffering, the hardship that they've been through in order to get to the answer. At the end of the day, what we need is a summarized form of what worked for them. And we're not saying that what worked for them is going to work for us 100%, because we're not that naive. We know that each person has their own fate, time, and application, and opportunity vary in life. But once you know how a pattern is, once you know the key elements, once you know the sequence of those elements, because even when it comes to making bread, we all know what the ingredients are, but there is a sequence, there is a recipe for success, and you need to know how that recipe is. You need to learn from somebody, otherwise you'll be making you'll be trying to bake a croissant and you'll end up with a horseshoe roll, for example, because it's a different process, it's a different set of ingredients, it's a different sequence. But this is where OPE really, really works, and this is where it's important for us to be life learners, to be able to take all of this OPE, this other people's experience, this other people's trial and error, and learn to leverage from them, and to make sure that we know that on every journey there are going to be potholes. On every journey there are going to be hills and valleys and barriers and things that are going to slow us down. And to know that the best captains in the world, the best pilots in the world, know that in order to get to where they want to get to, it's not going to be a straight line, it's not going to be an easy straight line path, but it's going to be a zigzag. Today is a very windy day. I'm down here, of course, and I'm out of the elements. But if you see the flags on the harbour bridge, the wind is coming in from the west and it's quite warm, it's balmy, it's beautiful. But a great navigator knows that the wind is variable, it changes, it comes from different directions at different times. And in order to make the most of the wind and the winds, what we need to do is to be the masters of our sails, and irregardless of where the wind is coming from, Anthony Robbins teaches us, and other motivational speakers teach us as well, that you can't change the wind, but you can change the angle of your sail. You can learn to tic-tac, to tack, I should say, or tic-tac, and to go into the breeze and with the breeze, into the breeze and with the breeze, to make the most of those particular conditions at that particular point in time. And another point that Anthony Robbins makes, which is something which is important, is that we're going to learn to get out of our way and stop tripping ourselves up with the way we think, the way we behave, the people we hang out with, the stories that we tell ourselves, the amount of effort that we put into getting things done, the amount of homework that we do, the amount of prep. Now we're going to work hard, and the key message from the big man is that if you change, and if you change in a way which is positive and productive, then those changes are going to change your life. And as we said, it could change your life for the better, or it could change your life for the worst. But what you need to do is you need to be committed to the effort, to the task, and to understand the process, because process is key. Recipes are key. If you follow the recipe, if you follow the process, then you're going to get potentially the outcome that you desire, as long as you're diligent and you follow it to the T. So I think I'll leave it there for now. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where we're doing the sub-series of 365 vlogs, a vlog a day, on all that I've ever learned from Anthony Robbins. Wishing you a happy day, a productive day, and may we live, learn and pass it on and make the most of the opportunities that arise today, and to glorify God with all our heart, mind and soul, and to love our neighbour as we love ourselves. Take care everybody, yassas, and bye for now.